Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lainey and I am a current Outschool teacher and here to help you with all things Canva today. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. Talking to you like you're here. Let me make sure my mic is working because this will now be the second time that I have recorded this because the first time my mic wasn't on. It's fine. Where was I? So we're talking about Canva today. Yes. So I just earlier this week said on my Instagram that I was going to be sharing with all of you how I create my own slideshows in Canva, the most important features I think that Canva offers when it comes to making slideshows for your online classes. And at the end of it, I'm also going to show you, if you're creating a lesson in Nearpod, how I move all of my slides from Canva into Nearpod. I don't use Nearpod for all of my lessons, but I do for some of them. So I want to show how I use Canva in just a presentation mode like it is with Google Slides or PowerPoint, and then also how I'm able to use it and move it all over to Nearpod because I do get a lot of questions about that. If you're not already doing so, make sure you go and follow me on Instagram. I'm on there a ton talking about Outschool. I have a lot of Outschool highlights as well, tips and tricks for you, as well as a highlight where I dedicate it to other Outschool teachers and share their classes. So if you feel like you want to share your class with me, if you're an existing Outschool teacher, send me a DM with a screenshot of your class and I will share it on my stories and save it under my Outschool by You highlight. There was something else. Oh, I wanted to say that I recently got a review this week in regards to the slideshow for my astronaut training class. And I want to share it with you because I want to show you how much a slideshow means in an online classroom. Honestly, it's the meat of what you're doing. You need it to be able to visually show students what you're learning, what you're teaching. So I want to share it with you just to also show that you don't always have to have Nearpod in order to make a class super engaging or interactive. Just by using my Canva presentation, my slideshow on there, I'm able to make it just as interactive and engaging for my astronaut training class. So it does make all the difference if you ask me. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so this review says, Lainey was an outstanding teacher, great way of mixing information with silliness. Most impressed by her use of technology. Makes all the difference in these classes. My 4-year-old son loved it. Now, when I read this review, I was like, was this an Earpod class? But it's not an Earpod class. And to me, I don't really think of it as using like that much technology. But then when I started to think about it, I realized that it does. And for a 4-year-old, the things that I add into my slideshows makes it maybe a little bit more appealing and can really keep them engaged and participating in these classes. So slideshows are very important and you should be taking the time and effort to create fantastic slideshows. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite things that I use in mine. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get this going. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm on the home page of Canva and I'm starting here to be able to show you how I create my designs for my slideshows and for the ones that I turn into Nearpod lessons. So if I'm just doing a slideshow, a presentation, then I'm going to be using Canva to showcase it. I'm not moving it to Nearpod or anything like that. It's just like having a Google slide or a PowerPoint presentation. You can do the same thing in Canva. And the way that you can do this is by going under Create a Design and you can type in presentation. And that's going to be what you're going to use to make your slideshow because it allows you to hit a play button just like PowerPoint, just like Google Slides, and for you to be able to present your material. So that's what I use for the majority of my lessons. Now for the ones that I use Nearpod, I do something different because you kind of have to save the images or the videos to your computer before you upload them into Nearpod. So for that, the best way that I have found to do it is to do it in poster landscape. So this is going to be the one that you're going to use for Nearpod lessons. So you can create it all in Canva. I like to do that because you have way more options and it gives you tons of freedom to make these fantastic slides. And then you can save them to your computer and upload them in Nearpod. But again, I'll show you that at the end of this video. So poster landscape mode for Nearpod. So I'm going to pull up for you my astronaut training slides to show you some of my favorite things that I have in there that maybe you could utilize in one of your own slideshows. Now, if you look over here to the left, this is the first thing I want to share. If you're not utilizing the folders in Canva, you're missing out 100%. I should have done this from the beginning. I wish that I had. So if you're new to Canva and you feel like you're going to be using it a lot, make sure you're utilizing that folders section, which I'll show you more about that. But it allows you to categorize and organize everything that you have. So I have separate folders for my classes. Like you can see here, I have a dinosaur geniuses one, a space geniuses one. Those are for my classes. So like my astronaut training one, if you look here, if I click on it, it has everything in relation to what I've created for my astronaut training course. You can see that I have lots of, what are these? Rocket ships. And I pre-made them with different, a different amount of letters and everyone's name, because it just saves me a lot of time if I just say, okay, I've got this student Lainey, and then there's 5 letters in her name. Let me go to the one with 5 letters, and then I just take out those 5 letters and add the new ones. And then I also keep my slideshow in these folders. So let me click on this one, and I'll show you kind of, in case you don't know, how you can really utilize these folders. Okay, so over here on the left, you'll see you have your normal things, photos, elements, all of that. And then you have folders. You click on that, you can create a new one up here at the top. This is how I create new ones a lot. And again, I do it for everything. I purchase a lot of clip art. I do have commercial use for these clip art. So anyone who has questions on that, I do have permission to use them because I create a lot of things. Like I sell boom cards, I make a lot of printables that I sell on my own blog, and I even make things for my own kids. So for me, purchasing clip art, sorry, my son is crying downstairs. I purchase clip art, and it's important for me, and I categorize it because I have a ton of clip art, like an insane amount of clip art. If you look here, the one thing that I can say about having a slideshow and what maybe takes it to the next level is putting in that time and effort. And that means making it appealing to the eye. You want to keep their attention. So if you just have a blank blue slide with a few words on it, it's not going to keep their attention as something that you've added some illustrations and clip art and maybe some Gifs and videos and different things so that they can still have that interest. If you look here, I layer a lot, and I do that by, you know, making my background. Now for me, again, this is clip art that I've purchased. My background, you can make it even just a color, just like this one down below that you see here. It doesn't have to be what I have, but you can add in a background, and then you could add different elements to it, and you can add a frame with text and all these things, and layering and making it just like visually nice is important when you're in the classroom, because you have to think you're not physically there to be able to show and demonstrate things to the kids that you normally would be able to do. Your students are looking at something that is on a computer, and in order to keep that attention, you need to make it visually appealing. Now, layering is really important, and I'm going to go through all of the slides just to show you a few things that I add into mine that I feel like make it extra engaging and interactive for the kids. I always do, of course, my what's it called? Expectations. Now you can see here I have a Bitmoji, and I'm not going to go over how I insert in my Bitmoji, but if you feel like that's a YouTube video that you want to see, send me a comment down below, or whatever, put in a comment down below. Let me know if you think that that's something that you would want a tutorial on or whatever, and I'm happy to offer that, or even send me a DM on Instagram and let me know. But today I'm not going to show that. But again, this is another way for you to add that element of like visual coolness, if you will, because they look at the slide and they're like, dang, that's Miss Lainey, because, you know, sometimes I have on my headphones and they're like, that looks just like her. So that's another way that you can do that. Now, if you go here, now this is how I start all of my astronaut training classes. It's simple, in my mind it's simple, but if you really think about it, it's kind of just like perfect for really bringing the kids in that initial meeting together. Now, this is a video, and I got this over here on the videos side of Canva, and I typed in, I think maybe I typed in rocket ship or something like that. And what it is it's a video. When I'm in present mode, it automatically starts playing, and you can see the rocket ship, it revs up, it's got the fire and the smoke coming out, and then it launches. And what I do is I start the class by telling my students, when I say 3, 2, 1, I want everyone to yell blast off, and I time it just perfect so that every time, the moment that we're yelling blast off, that rocket ship is launching into space. And it's just one small way to really capture their attention and for them to say, ooh, this is going to be fun. Like, let me see what else she's got coming. So adding small videos, I think this is like a 13-second video or something like that. It's nothing crazy. So this is, again, just another one where I did some layering. The background I made as a video. So you can see here, I went over to videos, found the video I wanted. I resized it to make it the entire side of the slide. And then I went under elements, searched for an astronaut, and added that astronaut on top of it by layering it on top. Again, just gives that extra effect to keep their attention and to make it look more visually appealing. Now, another thing that I like to do, if I have created a printable or a document for my students to have during class, I like to add them in as slides so that I can show them when it's time to pull them out and for us to do that. You'll see in this slideshow that I actually have 2 of these. I have one, this is my astronaut coloring sheet, where I tell them, okay, if you have this coloring sheet here, I want you to pull it out, and I want you to draw your own face inside of that astronaut helmet, and you can even color it while we're talking if you want, blah, blah, blah. But this way, I don't have to actually have whatever it is and pull it up. It's just already part of my slideshow. I don't forget about it because it's there. So that's something that I do by adding those printables into the slides. You have to play around, see what you can do. I mean, I'll show you another slideshow for my Climber Slime class where you can see even more how I utilize these slides to make phenomenal pictures to really like be appealing. But again, it's just about adding in different aspects. But there are some slides where, of course, you don't have to. Like this one, we talk about, you know, if astronauts eat in space, and could they eat in space? What would it be like to eat popcorn in space? And all I have is a picture of popcorn because I actually make them pretend to eat popcorn in space. It's floating all around, and I'm like, everybody grab your popcorn. This is how you eat popcorn in space. And I make them do it themselves. So you don't always have to have these like elaborate, crazy slides, but I think that you definitely need to have some of them. We do the same thing for spaghetti and for water. Now, I even add in videos to some of my slideshows. This one specifically, astronaut training, I do have a few of them. Now, I get asked this question a lot. Do not ask me copyright questions. I feel like that's not something that you can ask somebody. It's something that you have to do your own due diligence on. These are YouTube videos that I pulled. Now, for me, I do not play any of the sound. I don't even play the full videos. For me, what I do is I look in the description box of the YouTube videos, see if there's anything specific about copyright and me being able to use it. Otherwise, I will add them to my own slides because I feel like it falls under fair use. So again, I'm not selling my class based on these videos. That's not what I'm doing. If I had in my description that I had these videos in the class or something like that, and that was contributing to me being paid, I think that that would make a difference. But because I don't tell anybody about these anyways, I don't feel like it does make a difference. Now, how do you get YouTube videos into your slideshow? If you're in Canva, if you go under the More section, you'll see there's this part that says apps and integrations. There's a lot of options here. We're going to talk about a couple of them, but YouTube is on there. If you are to click YouTube, you can search anything and everything. If you have, let's say I just typed in astronaut. Now, I do a lot of research on mine. Most of the time, I'm like looking on my phone throughout the day or whatever, and I'll tell myself, ooh, I'll write a note in my iPhone that'll say, look up this YouTube video, and it would be like time frames of when I should be looking at it. And for me, this specific YouTube video that you see here of how do astronauts drink in space, what I do is I hit the play button. Again, I always mute it. I don't have any sound because I'm talking the whole time that this is playing in the background. And what I really just want is for them to be able to see what it looks like for them to get water inside of this pouch and how important it is for it to be contained. So I show them this and I say they stick a straw in it and they drink it. And then I pause it. That's all that I show them. I don't show them anything more than that, but just that small snippet is really great for the students to be able to see. They can witness what it is like to drink water in space. So again, if you feel like you have questions about adding YouTube videos to your classes, that is not a question for me. That's something that I feel like everyone has to do their own research and own due diligence on, and I'm not going to be the one to answer that. So that's a way that you can add in these YouTube videos. Now, obviously, you can resize them. I make mine the full size of the screen, but you can do that however you feel you want. Now, this is just a photo. Again, this is another small YouTube clip that I use. I don't use the whole thing. Now for this part, again, these are simple slides, and that's because we're singing a song at this point to put our spacesuits on together. So it's nothing really crazy. Here's another part where you can see I added in a picture of the printable, and I know that when this slide comes up, this is the part where I tell them, okay, if you have this rocket ship, I want you to build your own by spelling your name. And this is where that is. I never forget about it because it's already in my presentation. And then we go on to talk about rocket ships. Again, simple slides because I'm doing the majority of the talking. Now, when we come here, again, it looks very simple, but it leads up to this YouTube video of a frog in space. And I'm very intentional with what I'm doing. I feel like I wasn't so intentional when I first started with this class, but the more I taught it, the more I tweaked it, the better it got. And the more I knew where I needed to add things in or take them out. I end the class by having them get a stuffed animal. They bring a stuffed animal up. We talk about if that animal has maybe been to space. And then we end the class by launching our animals into space together. So that's kind of how my slideshow goes. But again, I'm very intentional with it. You'll have to find what works best for you. But adding different elements is important. And I'm going to show you another example of another element that you can add. Let me take you here to my slideshow for my climber slime class. Now, this is a Nearpod slideshow, and you're going to see a few different things. Number one, lots of layering, right? Now, you'll see also I have a game board. I made this game board on my own. I saw there was a bunch of clip art that I really would have loved to have bought from Teachers Pay Teachers, but let's be honest, I have already a ton of clip art. So I decided to make my own. Let me show you how I did that. Again, it just takes a little bit of imagination and kind of configuring it up in your mind. But for these, what I did is I went to the shapes section of elements, and boop, I just changed the color, resized it, and thought, okay, maybe that's the size that I want. And then what I did is I just copied and pasted. Now, when you're in Canva, you cannot right-click to copy and paste. You have to do Control-C, Control-V, or Command-C, Command-V, depending on what type of computer you have. But that's how you have to do it. You can't do with the mouse. It doesn't work. So I just copied and pasted a bunch of these, put it in a certain way that I wanted it to go. Let's say my game board wants to look like this. And then I just changed the color of some of the squares. And then what I did is I knew that it needed to have some sort of outline to break it up. So you can see here, I used the square and the outline of the square a lot, surprisingly enough. But if you go under shapes, and you can even type in like square outline in elements, and it would probably pull it up. And you can see there's an outline one. You can change the color of it. I changed mine to black. Now, if you think that that's way too thick, you don't want the outline to be that thick. If you scale it down from the diagonal arrow, you scale it down. It doesn't have to be the perfect fit. You can see here it's still too big. But what you can do is you can scale it down to get the thickness of that line, and then you can move it in, move it up, whatever you need to do. And what I did from there is I copied and pasted, copied and pasted, copied and pasted. And this is how I made my game board. So if you're looking to play a game in your class and you're like, how do I make a game board? This is an option. You can make a game board like this. You could even utilize other shapes to make your own game board, however you feel it works for you. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I get this text where it's got this black outline? Let me show you how I make that. If you use the text feature, you can choose whatever you want. I'm going to choose subheading for me. Now, let's say that I'm going to type my name, and I'm going to make it purple. You could even make every letter a different color. You could make it all white. You could make it all whatever color you want. You could even do it black and then have the outline be white or another color. Really and truly play around, see what you like. Now for me, again, you're going to see here, I have fonts that I have commercial use to use in my classes and everything that I sell. So I like to use these fonts and keep it really consistent. Again, because I'm a brand. Make sure you remember that. I'm a brand. So I'd like to keep things very consistent. So you'll see here that whenever you click on it, if you hit Control C and Control V or Command C, you're just gonna make a copy of it. That copy that you made, you want to change it to a color that you want the outline to be. I want my outline to be black, so I'm going to make mine black. You can make it white, whatever you want. And then if you have the Pro version, I probably should have prefaced this. This only works for the Pro version of Canva. If you don't have it, you don't get these effects. Sorry for you, but I recommend you doing that. So go under Effects, and you'll see there's a lot of effects that you can utilize. For me, to make the ones that you see under with the numbers, I use Hollow. And what it does, it just takes out the center of that and leaves you with an outline, and then I place it on top. Now, what's even cooler about this is if you click on it, you can even change the thickness of that line. So if you have it as hollow, you can change the thickness by doing this. And sometimes I even like to space out my letters. If I feel like, oh, those are way too close, I'll go to the spacing icon and I will increase the spacing between the letters. Now, obviously, you have to do the same thing for the one behind it. So that one was at 84. And I'm going to make this one at 84. So there we go. Now maybe I like that a little bit better because the letters aren't so close together. So that's an option for you to do as well, is to play around with text to see what you like. They also have these font combinations that they already give you. You could use those as well. I like to make my own because you guys know how I am, but you could always use the ones that they already give you. So this is a really cool way. Let me just get rid of this. This is a really cool way to give your slideshow something a little bit extra. Now, there's one important thing that I also want to show you. For my Climber Slime class, this is a new class that I have. And also, by the way, anything that I'm sharing with you guys, I hope you realize that this is me sharing to help inspire you and for you not to mimic anything that I have. There have been a number of classes that I've seen that are very, very similar to mine, and just know you're never going to see success if you copy somebody. You'll never teach it like them. You weren't meant to teach it. The person who created the class was meant to teach it. Now, with that said, I'm going to show you guys, this class is called Climb or Slime, and it's a class to practice rhyming. And what it is we get to play a game where we're trying to climb a mountain to win a trophy. If we find two words that sound the same or rhyme, then we get to climb. If we don't, then they get to watch a video of me being slimed. For the parts where we find a rhyme, I have GIFs incorporated into my slideshow to show things climbing. You can find the GIFs under More, under the apps and integrations, where you would find the YouTube option. And it's right here under Giphy. So what you can do is you can type in whatever you're looking for. I typed in climb because I wanted to find things climbing. And every time that we find a rhyme, I have a GIF in my slideshow that shows animals climbing. I have one of Spider-Man climbing a wall. There's tons and tons of options. So GIFs are really fun. The kids love it. They think they're so funny. And that's another small way that you can kind of enhance your slideshow. Like, look at this raccoon. So funny. So since this is a Nearpod lesson, I'm going to show you how you can move slides like this over to Nearpod to create your lesson. I put this one in the poster landscape mode, just like I told you, just like I told you. And what you're going to do is, if there are slides that do not have any GIFs or any videos or anything like that, then you can save them as PNGs or JPEGs. Personally, I recommend saving them as JPEGs because when you do it as PNGs, you lose a lot of space on Nearpod, and that's important to have because quickly you will find that even if you have the paid subscription of Nearpod, you'll run out of space in a lesson because it's happened to me multiple times. So if you have here your lesson and you save the ones that do not have a GIF, do not have a video, none of that, you can save it as a PNG or a JPEG. Save them to your computer, okay? Put them in a folder where you know where to find them. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to Nearpod. So let's say that I'm going to edit this one that I just had here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go into Nearpod. You can create a new lesson or you can add on to a lesson that you already have. I'm going to just add on to this one here. So you're going to go to upload files. Now, keep in mind, this is for the ones that do not have videos or GIFs. You can upload many of them at one time instead of individually adding a slide every single time. Now, by uploading a bunch at the same time, you can still make some of them draw it or something like that if you need to. So if you hit upload files, okay, so you find the folder that you have it in and you want to upload however many you want. So you would click on it, hold down the shift button or the control button, select the slides that you want to insert. You can do multiples at a time and hit open. And it's going to import them in. Now, as you can see, I'm out of room in this lesson, which is okay, but you probably won't be if you're just importing from Canva from the beginning. So when you do that, your slides, they come in, and then of course you can drag and rearrange them and things like that. Now, if you have a slide that has a GIF or an MP4, a video, you have to save them as an MP4. So for me, like this one, slide number 3 is a GIF. So I need to download it as an MP4. And I'm not going to do all pages. I'm only going to do page 3. Okay, and then I'm going to hit done, and it's going to download onto my computer. I'm going to save it where it needs to be saved, and then in order to put that into Nearpod, you're going to do something a little bit different. You're going to go over to Nearpod and you're going to hit add slide, and you're going to choose video. And when you choose video, you're going to have a few options, one of those being upload a video. When you choose upload a video, you get to go through and figure out where that video is and add it in. And that's going to make it a video and not just a picture of your video. Because if you do it as another way, it's not going to play the video. So in order for you to have it on your Nearpod slide as a video, the way that it is in Canva, you have to upload it as a video. So that is pretty much like a very small rundown of my favorite aspects of Canva and creating slideshows, whether that's a normal slideshow or one that's going into Nearpod. But either way, I think that slideshows are extremely important, especially for teaching online. It's all that you have. It's your meat, it's your grit. You want to keep those students engaged and involved, and really you just want it to be appealing to the eye so that they're willing to look at it for a solid 30 minutes or however long your class is. But anyways, if you found this video helpful, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. It helps me a ton. And if you want, make sure you hit the subscribe button with that notification bell to be up to date on everything I've got coming. Because guys, I have some big stuff coming. I've got some big stuff coming. So you want to make sure that you subscribe. And that's all I have for today. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.